Yeah.
And yes, we really want to get into that because I think that's an interesting album to talk about. It's called Wreckage Manner. First of all, I want to give Styles P props for, continuously collaborating with people and doing full LPs with people, like, or EPs, whatever you want to call it. He did one with Talib, he did one with Dave East, and now he's doing one with Havoc, man. What were your thoughts on the album? Wreckage Manner.
I thought it was a really solid project. Um, I thought, where does this project kind of like stand this year? Do you
Hmm.
consider maybe it's a possible top 20 album? Because I
I
heard
think
some
so.
top 20 moments.
I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
really dope, actually. You and I were talking about it offline, and yeah, I mean, I think that Styles P once again, man, his consistency.
Hmm.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Good as Gold is one of the best rap records I've heard this year. That was my biggest takeaway from this album. I think that is the highlight of the album is Good as Gold because it was unexpected and it came off unexpectedly well. You know what I mean? Just like when
Hmm.
you hear the backdrop of the beat, it's like, well, that's not something you typically hear Havoc or Styles rap on. It also speaks to Havoc's diversity
Hmm.
as a producer. I think that's something that kind of gets taken for granted sometimes. But here's the thing: I think part of the reason why that gets taken for granted is because his beats are best when he's in his pocket, and when he gets more diverse, like on "Move How We Do," like when he like when he makes beats like that. It's sometimes hit or miss. I think this one was more of a miss than a hit. I think that's what you were kind of speaking to production. You were maybe expecting more, but he has like production wise, he has some really like highlight moments. I think Nightmares to Dreams, the closing track, is the best track on the album, in my opinion, beat wise.
Hmm.
That's like right in that, that's that classic Mob Deep sound. He actually sampled some of his own classic Mob Deep sound on YO to QB, Mike. That's Give It Up Fast.
Hmm.
And he even took some of Nas's lines from the first verse off of there with "The world is yours" written all over the blimp. That was on the original version of "Give It Up Fast" too. And so it's actually funny. It makes you realize how long Havoc has been a great producer too. That it's like, no, I can go recycle an old beat that wasn't even one of the best beats from an old project. So there are some highlights. Styles and the Locks just in general, Mike. They're just refreshed. He sounds fresh on here.
Hmm.
I thought his verse on "Him to Him," his second verse, that's one of the top 20 verses this year, in my opinion. It's classic Styles, and he's just fresh on there. The ending to this album with Good as Gold, Him to Him, and Nightmares to Dream is as good as an ending to a rap album you'll actually find this year. Those are three high level songs to end the album. So it was pretty impressive. There are a couple of missteps or middle ground, I would say.
Hmm.
But for the most part, really great project. Yeah.
I agree with you. I wanted to ask you though. I know you're really, really big on Mob Deep. I'm a huge Mob Deep fan too. But I wanted to ask you, like, as far as like producers, you talk about hip hop producers all time. Where do you place Havoc? Like, where is Havoc for you when it comes to all time hip hop great producers in hip hop? Excuse me.
Well, that kind of goes back to the catalog, Mike. When you look, when you look at Mob Deep's best stuff, it's just some of the best East Coast rap shit that you'll find, and so you kind of have to hold him up high. I don't know if I have him necessarily in DJ Premier or RZA.
Well, the thing is, and RZA's kind of a different thing, but you can hold this against him too. But it feels like Havoc didn't spread it around as much as a lot of the other great producers in hip hop did.
Well, I mean, he actually spoke to that once. He was like, I mean, he pretty much just said flat out, like, I'm not going out here and giving cats a Shook Ones Part 2 or a Quiet Storm. If I'm making that, I'm giving it the P. And it's like, oh, well, we're okay with that. So it was kind of like, it's kind of like, you win on one side real big, but you kind of lose on the other side real big. So like I said, so he may not be Q-Tip or Pete Rock or DJ Premier or RZA as a producer, but he's got some stuff that stands right next to their best stuff for sure, and so we have to hold them up high.
Shannon Williams says Havoc is a top 15 producer, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm
I
gonna
would
have to
generally.
write all that out because I want to piggyback on what you just said. I think that if that is the case, as a producer, I guess his, I don't say loyalty or allegiance to the Mobb Deep brand, that holds him back from some of those conversations in ways where Premier was able to spread it around. The other thing I don't like producers doing either is, and Timbaland's done this, and I think this is why I feel the way I feel about the Neptunes and Timbaland when you compare the two, right? Timbaland makes it very clear these people get my A-list beats, these people get my B-list beats, and so on and so forth. And I've always felt like the Neptunes can give heat to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've given, to me, in my opinion, they've given Family some of their most impressive production. And I respect that, and I think that right there is the mark of a great producer. Saying all that to say, if that's kind of how Havoc looks at it, it's hard for me to put him above even like an Alchemist.
Okay, so, and of course, there's always the Alchemist comparison. I'm going to speak to something that you just said prior, though.
Okay.
Uh, Pete Rock's kind of and Premier are both kind of notorious for that too. Like, I mean, look at "Living Proof" by Group Home.
Mm-hmm.
Look at just the countless beat Pete Rock has just thrown. Like, I mean, we don't even know who the guy is sometimes until we
Yeah.
see that Pete Rock produced the track, do we, Mike?
No, no, that's real.
That's real. So, some of these guys are like true digging in the crates types of producers and like really believe in the fundamental aesthetics of hip hop in terms of like, if I see a dude with talent, I might take my price tag
I
down
love
enough to
that.
give him some burn. And I love that. You know what I'm saying? And so, you get I guess you should get some points for that, but it doesn't take away from the depth of that catalog. Because what I would tell you about Alchemist is like, well, Mike, where's the Shook Ones? Where's the Quiet
Well, you
Storm?
gotta keep it
Where's
thorough. I think keep
where's
it
the hell
thorough
on
is.
earth? But
I
Mike,
think keep it
keep it.
thorough is on a Hell on Earth and Quiet Storm level. I think we gonna make it is on those levels too.
Maybe, yeah,
Now,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
talk about shook ones, I get that. That's a once in a lifetime thing, right? But let's not act
Hmm.
like Alchemist doesn't have things that spar with some of those that are around shook ones. Because, like you said, not many people have a shook ones anyway. It's just
No,
what
Mike,
it
it's
is.
like that's what I'm saying. Is it's
It's
like
like a
they got
cream, you know what I'm saying? Like I
that.
don't even know. I don't think DJ Premier has a shook ones.
No, I don't.
He
Mm,
doesn't. Let's keep it a buck. He doesn't. But that
I think.
doesn't make
I think.
he has mass appeal. But that's not shook ones. It's not.
I no. I feel your Shook Ones is like a one of one, but it's like it's not just that, Mike. They got a bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Alchemist
just
has a bunch of stuff
it's not
for
as
a bunch of
classic. That's no,
people.
Mike. No. I hear what you're saying. It's just not as classic. That's what I'm trying to say. So even when you're saying that, I'd probably say, for me, I would probably say Alchemist is a better producer because he's more diverse. He has spread himself around more, and he has a better catalog. But if you were to probably line up Alchemist 20 best, the Havoc's 20 best, and you were to play those records like versus style, it's like
These are the
no
verses that
Alchemist,
we need to see.
like Mike, Alchemist in trouble.
These are the verses that we
Same
need to see.
Mike, the same way I told you that Outkast was in trouble is the same way Alchemist would be in trouble. Because if you play that right now, I have got beats like that. That's what I'm saying. That Give It Up Fast beat that he took, Mike, that wasn't even probably one of the 5 best beats on that album. That beat crazy, Mike.
And I give you that and the fact that, you know what I'm saying, for
Still
Mob
shining?
Deep stuff. But it's
Yeah.
like I think that the mark of a great producer, at least for me, and if we're talking about ranking producers all time, the diversity of artists that you're able to make great material for really matters. You know what I'm saying? Like that does matter. Like
I mean,
staying in your camp is cool, and I'll give RZA. You know what? We give RZA high points, and I've said this before because Jizza's so much different than Old Dirty, who's so much different than Raekwon, who's so much different than Ghost, who's so much different than Bobby Digital, who's so much different than, you know what I'm saying, Inspector
The
Deck or
master.
whatever. And he was
Yeah.
able to make all of these records for these guys, and they didn't sound the same. The only ones that were in similar chambers, I would say, was Meth and Old Dirty. And even with that, Bring the Pain and Shimmy Shimmy and all that's so much different. And
Yeah, I
I
was about to
will
say.
give RZA that diversity, those diversity points for all of that that was within the clan. But when you talk about Havoc and really not having too much outside of Mobb Deep and some of the stuff for Nas, it's like it's really hard to make an argument for him to be anything below a top 15, 20. Like, you know what I mean?
So when Shannon spoke, I was kind of thinking that too. I would probably have him, if we're just all things being objective, probably in the top 15. Definitely in the top 20.
I don't
Most likely.
know. I don't know about 15. You got him above DJ Quick and people like that?
Ooh, see, Mike, that's what I'm telling you. Is it's like Quick's body is probably better because of how he spread it around. But
Mm-hmm.
Mike, that's what I'm saying. Ain't too many people made beats for that stretch like that are as chilling and that hold up as well. Because here's what I'm saying, and this is probably more ode to one of your favorite artists, Q-Tip, Mike. What Havoc does beat wise is that stylistically it stayed because it's fundamentally sound, and I believe he got that from Q-Tip while making the Infamous, correct?
No, no, that's real.
So the same way that Q-Tip and Tribe stuff holds, Mike,
It holds.
is
Yeah.
the same way mob stuff is holding. A lot of that is about what, Mike? It's about production. And so when
Same
you
thing with
actually,
Dilla.
huh?
Same
Yeah,
thing with J
yeah.
Dilla.
No, absolutely, Mike. Same thing for Dilla. Dilla's actually, I mean, if we talking, beat wise, Dilla's better than Havoc and Q-Tip, Mike. I mean,
Yeah, Dilla's something else, man. And it's
yeah,
amazing that
Dilla is in the RZA, Primo,
people are still
Dr.
pulling
Dre.
people are
Like,
still
yeah,
pulling from Dilla's catalog and making new stuff
no,
that
no,
doesn't
no.
sound old at all. The man's been gone for about 15 years now, right? Probably
I
more than
mean,
that.
Mike, he might be like your if we're talking like pound for pound, beat for beat guy. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like just from scratch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in doing unorthodox things that like somehow like seem to format and make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. No, he's brilliant. But with Havoc, what I'm saying is Mike, he has like a lot of stuff production wise that's just held up well over time. And even though he hasn't done much work outside the camp, Mike, look what has happened like when he has done work. He made Y for Jadakiss. He produced Last Day for Havoc that has the locks on it with Big.
No, that's real.
There is the Nas stuff. There is the setup. There is live nigga rap. There's even family on Nostradamus, which is like one of the few high moments on Nostradamus. It's like I said, Nas always sounds better on a Havoc beat.
I love Havoc behind the boards. And
Mike, I
for
mean, Juvenile
everybody,
Hell from a king to a god last year. When he steps out, Mike, it's an event when he steps out. That's what I'm saying. He's the
yeah.
type of dude that it's like, no, he has the capability to step on an album, though, and make his presence felt as a producer on something like Life After Death. It was written from a king to a god. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right, and I'm glad you mentioned Juvenile Hell. And for everybody that's just now coming into the room, we're talking about Styles P and Havoc's joint album together. All right, I'm glad you brought up Juvenile Hell because again, that was like a tone setter, and it made me feel like when I saw Havoc was on production on From a King to a God from Conway, I felt the same way when I saw that RZA was doing the intro to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I had expectations, and those expectations were met when it comes to Juvenile Hell from Conway's album. And so listening to this album, I'm like, okay, we got Havoc on the beats. We got Styles P, who's grimy, expressive. We know how great the locks sound right now. Like from Styles to Jada to Chic, these guys sound fresh, everything. I was a little bit let down by the production value on this album as a whole. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't
good.
like all time good. And maybe and again, we're always getting that Alchemist stuff. Maybe the fact that I've been listening to Alfredo all week has messed up my ears or something. But there's been standards set, and I think for Havoc and his illustrious career, and you just went through it, you were talking about how great some of these records are, how all-time great these records are, and
All
how
time.
down to the basics he is when it comes to this hip-hop shit. I just don't feel like on a production level it met those standards. Like I don't feel like listening to this album, I'm listening to an all-time great hip hop producer. And I say that respectfully. I hate saying that.
Ooh, but okay, so Mike, that's not totally fair because I kind of felt that way when I heard the Prime albums.
Okay, that's fair.
If that doesn't take away from Primo, Mike, I'm going to tell you something, and we're going to go
And
ahead
I'm
and
not
talk
no no no
about.
no hold on. Let me rephrase that. I'm not taking away from him and what he is all time. I'm talking about the album.
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
That's how I felt about the Prime albums. I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't love these beats as a whole necessarily. Does absolutely nothing in terms of where I place the man's greatness. Absolutely nothing.
No, I'm not talking about where I place the man's greatness. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the album.
Yeah,
Like
just
you
the
know what I'm
album,
saying?
but Mike, even with those things that you're saying, this is a really good album.
It
Like,
is a good album.
there's only a few missteps on here. Like most of these songs are solid. Like, "Fuck Around" is solid. "Fiend 4", "21 Gun Salute," uh, all the last three records. It's only 10 tracks. About 6 or 7 of them, Mike, are pretty like above average, I would say.
I love the
Six
fact that
six
they
or seven
went in
tracks are
it.
above average.
I love the fact that they went in on it alone. They didn't,
Mhm.
lean on features.
There's
And
nothing
we're
else. Yeah, it's
yeah
just them.
yeah, and we're about to talk about an artist that's got a lot of features next. But I love the fact that Styles P, and I think I might have said it on the show earlier. I might have said it offline before people got in, but I love the fact that he was able to make an album with Dave East. He was able to make an album with Talib Kweli, and now he's making an album with Havoc. I think that is super, super dope. And again, the beats on there aren't bad at all, but it's one of those things where you know how like when you hear an album, like if I heard this album and I didn't know Havoc were in Styles P were doing it, I probably wouldn't even ask who made that beat. You know, like when you hear a hard beat, like yo, who made that? I probably wouldn't even ask. And I feel the same way about that Goody Mob album that came out. What was that last year?
Hmm.
Organized Noise produced the whole thing,
Hmm.
and it sounded like I say this respectfully, anybody could have produced that. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't a stamp. And I think that for me, and with these people being like in the handful of elite producers that we've ever seen, that's kind of a letdown. But like you said, it's still a solid album. Darnell
Yeah,
Lee says Havoc needs to do a whole Nas album. Not after what
I've
I
been
just
saying
heard.
that. I've been saying
Not
that.
after what I just heard. I think Nas is cool with Hit Boy right now, and that's crazy for me to say that because I had issues with that pairing.
That is crazy to hear you say that. But let's go ahead. And before we transition, I have a couple of things I want to make. One of them is directly related to Havoc. But
Okay.
this is what I'm saying, Mike. When you listen from a king to a god, everything on there up until that point is great. You know, like even the track with DJ Loaf, it's kind of like that's probably of the first few records, the track with DJ Loaf is probably the weakest one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Dej
The intro,
Loaf?
yeah,
Yeah. I like that song too. But I feel you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. How about this? I
It
think it's one
shows
of the three or
Conway's
four week.
versatility. That I maybe
Yeah, but it's one of the 3 or 4 weakest songs on there.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah, yeah. But and even when you listen to Doe and Damani, which I believe is Derringer and Alchemist, you know what I'm saying? When you hear Juvenile Hell though, and it track comes on, Mike, you kind of like, oh shit.
Hey, somebody
Like,
brought up a good name, and I know this name has kind of been circling around for a minute for the past couple of weeks. What do you think about Havoc and Just Blaze? Who's the better producer between those two?
I mean, like I said, what does Just Blaze have for the
Well,
stuff that's on
come
the
on now.
infamous? No. What does he really have
Hmm.
for the stuff that's on the infamous Hell on Earth and Murder Music?
He has You
What
Don't
is
Know, and he has PSA in his back pocket. He also
but
has
that's
The
what I'm saying.
Rock
First of
too.
all, Mike, you're gonna lose. Hold on, Mike. You're gonna lose one of those, the shook ones, though. So you can go ahead and go. That's why I'm saying you're gonna take one of those off the board.
I mean, again, we could say that about just about anybody. But after that, Just
I'm gonna
Blaze
take
got a
that off the
lot.
board.
He got a lot to
Yeah, but he
lean
don't.
on.
Mike. That's that. This is what I keep. How about this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say this. Like, you know how you like that Dr. Dre shit like hit different.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Prodigy's at his best rapping over Havoc shit, Mike, it's different, Mike, and it's hard to beat because when P is at his best, like Mike, until Conway came along on this run, like P's the best ever at that talk. Conway's just up to the ante and got more versatile, but Prodigy's grimy talk on record at its peak, Mike, like with Hab's backdrop, like no, like that's hard to beat, Mike. It's hard to beat. Like you're gonna need more than 2 records because they got like 20, 30 records like that.
What do y'all think in the room? Because people are kind of saying different things. Who's the better producer, Havoc or Just Blaze? Because I mean, when you put in "I Really Mean It," you put in the Rock that's on Cameron's album. You got Rock the Mic. You got stuff like, yeah, man. Just Blaze got some heat, man. I, what we do is wrong. I
Hey,
mean,
Mike, I'm gonna tell
we
you
can't
something. This
sit
is what
here
I
in
mean.
front on Just
Like
touch
okay,
the sky.
but certain producers, this is what I'm saying. They provide a feeling. It's like you said, like the tone from a king to a god changes when Juvenile Hell comes on. As in, like the ante feels up. Mike, I'm gonna tell you something. One of the biggest missteps on It Was Written is that the setup happens too late. Like the setup, like It Was Written actually needs to go. The message, I gave you power, and the setup, and Street Dreams and Watch Them Niggas needs to fall to the back somewhere between Suspect and Shootouts because that album plays different because the setup is actually where the shit picks back up on It Was Written and you're like, oh shit. That's what Havoc does to you. Like when his records come through like at a high level, it's like, oh shit, that's that shit. You know what I mean? That's that rap shit, Mike. Like you can't replace that. And not too many guys have the records for a stretch that are going to stand up next to Havoc's records with P rapping behind them. Like, it's just not, Mike. What are you going to do when the learning drop?
Drop Exhibit C. You could drop Exhibit C. Exhibit C is better than the Learning, and I love Burn, but Exhibit C is nuts.
I'm going to have to go play those next to
Nah,
each other.
Exhibit
Hold
C
on,
is
Mike,
nuts.
Mike.
I've said
What
this
you riding
before,
to?
and I
Mike,
don't
what you
even know
riding
if I
to? What you
said this
riding
on the
to?
show
That's
before.
what I'm saying,
I
Mike.
don't think Kendrick Lamar has a better song than Exhibit C. I can't definitively say Kendrick Lamar has a better song than Exhibit C. Since you want to play that whole Shook Ones game, we go off of one song. It's tough. We think of
Mike.
Jay Electronica in the way that we do for
So,
10
Mike.
years with no album because of that one record.
Mike, this is what I'm saying when I'm saying I'm not playing a shook one game. I'm playing a survival of the fittest game. I'm playing a right back at you game. I'm playing a Trife Life game.
I
I'm
like the
playing a
songs that
Temperatures
I
Rising
named.
game.
I like
I'm
the
playing
songs I
Still
named.
Shining, Hell on Earth, Nighttime Vultures, Trife Life 2. Mike, no.
I'll
Like
take What
streets,
We
Mike,
Do Is Wrong.
streets raise me. I'm going out. Where you from with 8 Ball? No, Mike,
You
Havoc got
going
shit.
out
Mike,
there
Havoc
now.
got shit. Havoc got
Yeah.
shit. Quiet Storm.
You're going
Yeah,
out there now, man. I'm sorry. I'll take What We Do Is Wrong. I'll take The Rock.
that's
I'll
what I'm
take
saying, Mike. But when you play that up against that classic mob shit, Mike, I'm trying to tell you, it's not going to win the same way Outkast shit didn't win when we did the verses.
I think I'm gonna have to put Just Blaze over Havoc as
You're
a
going to have to show
producer.
me all the records, Mike. You
Yeah.
just got to show me all the records. The Hoodlum track, Mike, with Rakim.
Mm.
The realest track with Cool G Rap, Mike. Come on. Come on.
Nah, I think I might still go with Just Blaze. I mean, and even after everything that Kanye said,
Mike,
which I found to be very interesting and somewhat valid to a degree, but Just Blaze work is still his work, and I think I would have him above Havoc. I think I have to put Alchemist ahead of him too.
Mike, I'll agree with you, The Alchemist, but about the whole Just Blaze thing, we're gonna have to do a mock versus because like
Okay.
I'm gonna hurt your feelings, like.
I mean, I would love to do that. I'll take on Just Blaze.
Because the only thing when I'm leaving out the mob's catalog, I think the only thing that I have to toss out that's like really all time great is Give Up the Goods, which is all time great, but that's Q-Tip, correct?
Yep.
Because if I can use "Give Up the Goods," like you're definitely losing.
Well, that's
But if I
cute
can't,
too.
you're still gonna lose.
It's
Still gonna lose. Still gonna lose, Mike. Because
Shannon
I get to
Williams
play,
says,
Mike.
"Mike,
I
you
get to play
bugging."
why? I get to play Last Day when Biggie says, "I'll make you a classic like my first LP."
People
I
are
get to
saying
do
I'm
that.
bugging. Okay,
Yeah, because you are.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like we can do a versus. I can go. You can go and go grab Just Blaze 20 best tracks. Let's bring them over here to that
So where do
mosh.
y'all have Just Blaze then? Just Blaze is just falling off the map, huh?
No, it's top 25 ish. I would think top 20, top
Top
25,
25 ish.
top 20, top 25. Yes, Mike.
So y'all don't have like Havoc over people like Molly Mall or anything, right?
No, that's why he
Okay,
would be top
okay,
15 because I
okay.
think we have to rate some of the people before him fairly. Like Mike, this is what I mean. He's not above Premier, Pete
Mm.
Rock, RZA, Dre, Alchemist, Dilla. I just named 6 guys right there off the top of my head. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
Q-Tip.
Q-Tip.
I don't think he's ahead of Quick, but you know.
Quick. I mean, yeah. No, I'll give you that. I don't think he's had a quick DJ Paul. So we're at 9. You know what I'm saying? But
I
after
mean,
that,
but do
Mike, I
we do
think
we get Timberland and Neptunes in there? Do y'all count them as hip hop producers? If not,
no. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, so Mike, let's get to him. You want to put that shit up against? You want to put that shit up against that monster?
listen. I'll put the Neptunes up against Havoc any day. But again, they're two
Maybe,
people,
maybe because
so
they have
it's
enough big
unfair.
records to do
Yeah,
it. Like, because they just made some smashes.
yeah.
But that's what I mean. But he's in that conversation of hip hop producers like Neptune's, Timberland.
Did you
Like,
name Kanye yet?
no, I didn't name Ye. So that's 10 right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, that's without even thinking.
But it's conversation. No, I think it's conversational after that. If we're just talking like just a one man show, it's
So,
conversational.
so even with all that being said, you
Did I say
still
Pete
got
Rock?
Just Blaze in the 25 range.
I said 20 to 25, 25 ish. Like probably, Mike. Yeah. I mean, but
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mike. I mean, if I wrote it out and he fell at 18 or something, like that wouldn't surprise me either.
I mean, the work that Just Blaze did with Freeway's album, I thought was very impressive.
Yeah, but Mike, I thought the best track on there was produced by Bing.
Which one? The one with Nate Dogg?
All my
250?
life.
Nah, man. What we do? I know it was a single and everything, but what we do is wrong is the best song on that album.
Man.
It is.